Welcome back to Small Caps, ladies and gentlemen. As you all know, my name's Kerry Stevenson, and today I'm speaking with Mike Dunbar, who I've known for a number of years. Mike's a good guy, and guess what? Mamba Exploration, he is the managing director of. M24 is the ASX code. Been flying a little bit under the radar, so if you're a Small Cap subscriber, we're going to talk about who are Mamba, what they're doing. And they listed in, I think it was early 2021. So they spent a year really, I guess, building that foundation. They had an oversubscribed $7 million IPO back in the day, and that funded all of their mineral exploration assets, which are in WA, both in the north and the south. We're going to talk about those projects, what they're doing, and the news flow for 2022. So welcome to Small Caps, Mike. Good to see you.
Great, thanks very much, Kerry. Really good to be here, and pleased we can catch up virtually. That is, but
well, the Iron Curtain's still up over there, Mike. So tell them to hurry up.
Hopefully, it's coming down soon.
We all hope that, Mike. Now, before we get into who are Mamba Exploration, the ASX code M24. Where did that come from? It's a bit unusual.
Yeah, look, we were actually the first company with two numbers. It actually came from a number of the guys who helped me put the company together are basketball fans and basketball nuts, if you like. And Mamba was Kobe Bryant, and his number was 24. And so we chose to go with Mamba and 24 in honour of Kobe. So it was a strange one, and not the normal naming convention for a company, but there you go.
Do you know what, ladies and gentlemen? I think that's pretty cool. Kobe Bryant, M24. You're never going to forget this now, are you? Mamba Exploration, named after Kobe Bryant in his memory. So if you're a basketball fan, better become a shareholder. Simple. Anyway.
Slam dunk then.
Oh, dear, Mike. Oh. There you go. It's a slam dunk. Go and become a shareholder. No, do your own research. That's what I'm about to do for you. All right, Mike. M20. So is that the only company on the ASX with two numbers in it?
I think there might be another one or two since we listed, but yeah, basically we're the first. So I think there are a couple of others with two numbers, but most of them are either just three letters or a couple of two letters and one number, but yeah. So
well, we're not going to forget that now. Kobe Bryant, you're being remembered. All right. Let's talk about the fact that you listed in early 2021. Who's Mamba Exploration? Because this is the first time we've had a chat. So let's start off with who you are, what you're doing.
Yeah. So Mamba, we formed the company in October of 2020, and very, very quickly put a portfolio of projects and assets together, all in Western Australia. Partly because it was our backyard, it's where we know how to operate and can work, but also it was the only place we could travel all the time. So it's kind of still the case now. But so we've got 100% owned projects, all in Western Australia, and very deliberately we've selected the locations and the projects, and we target them very specifically. And I'll get into some of the details as to why shortly, but fundamentally, we decided to choose areas in the north. In the Kimberley was the first projects we got hold of, very large tenement package up there, and then a project in the Ashburton. But the challenge most companies and most junior companies have is if you're working in the Kimberley or Ashburton, you can really only work 6, maybe 8 months of the year.
True.
And then there's a real dead period of 6 or 4 months where you can't get any news flow. And so what we've done deliberately...
Now, sorry to interrupt you, Mike, sorry, but that's because it's too bloody hot up there. Is that correct?
Yeah, too hot and very wet. The wet season in the Kimberley, you really struggle to get access.
Okay.
And so a lot of companies who have got projects in the Kimberley in particular can work for 6, 8 months of the year, and then the rest of the year you can't do a great deal. So what we wanted to do very deliberately is have projects there because the prospectivity and potential up there is massive. But we then need other projects to work when you can't work up there. So if you like, we've got those projects that we can work during the footy season or rugby season, depending on which state you're in.
Or basketball season.
And we've got projects in the southern part of Western Australia, just outside of Perth in the Darling Range, near Julimar's discovery, or Chalice's discovery. and a project down near Jerramungup in the Great Southern of Western Australia, which we can work in summer. So if you like, we've got a football season of projects in the north and the cricket season of projects that we can work in the south. And the reason for that was to give us year-round news flow and be able to really effectively keep our team busy, which is it's a relatively small team, and that's very deliberately done to keep the costs in the ground rather than being spent on a large team. We can keep them busy working in the south in summer and then swing them across into the northern projects for winter. So that's why we've chosen the areas. So we got hold of those, as I said, in October of 2020, and then a very, very busy period to then get listed in February of 2021. So really compressed that into a time frame that you normally wouldn't try and do it in that time frame. And we managed to get it together, get a really good shareholder base, and really now then we were very, very oversubscribed, actually quite embarrassingly oversubscribed at the time. And then we've managed to get active on the projects and really start moving them forward. So it's been quite exciting, actually.
Which is great. So just give us a very brief summary of what you did in 2021, because really what most people are interested in is what is coming up in 2022. But what did you do in 2021 to set that foundation going into 22?
Yeah, look, the first year of any company's life is always very hard getting all the systems and procedures and so on in place. But in 2021 rather, we started in February, as I mentioned, flew airborne EM over our Darling Range project just outside of Perth, which is a lookalike for Julimar. We flew airborne EM over all of the projects and tenements there in March of last year. Then spent a fair bit of the next few months getting land access agreements in place for the farmers and getting access to those areas. While we were doing that, we were also doing work down in Jerramungup and at the Calyerup Creek project, doing soil sampling and so on. And then that was the summer months of last year, and then pivoted into the northern part of the projects for the Ashburton project and the Kimberley in the winter months, with more soil sampling and auger sampling of the Ashburton, and up in the Kimberley doing some reconnaissance, geophysical reprocessing, and then follow up soil sampling and some rock chip sampling up there. So quite a busy foundation year, but when you've got 4 projects, you've really got to keep moving on all of them to keep progressing all of them. And we've managed to do that, I think, quite well. And now we can actually push the projects forward quite consistently this year. And so, as you mentioned, yeah, really is a foundation year of last year. And this year, we're now seeing the fruits of all of that labour last year, with drilling late last year at Darling Range. So we drilled 2 holes in the Darling Range project, intersected an ultramafic intrusion similar to Julimar with sulphides in it. We haven't got the assays back yet, but they're coming.
When are they coming, Mike? When do you think they'll be up?
I'm hopeful that we should have them by end of January, early Feb.
Okay.
Now, the sulphides we intersected there, it's disseminated sulphide, so it's not massive. But what I'm expecting, we've certainly hit the right rocks. The intrusion's fertile. And then now we need to get the assays back to help guide us where we go next. So it's really a foundation, and a really good foundation to have an intrusion that is sulfidic and has got sulphides in there is great. And now we can start targeting that. So that was a huge step forward for us.
Are you along the same sort of structure as Julimar? Would tell us where you are. I mean, everyone gets very excited about Chalice, but
they do.
Is it the same sort of area when you say Julimar lookalike? Just explain that, where exactly it is, because we don't have a presentation up at the moment.
Yeah, I haven't got a presentation up. We're around about 30 kilometres to the northeast of Julimar itself. Okay. Where Julimar is the southern end of the Julimar State Forest and they've got about 1,800 metres of the intrusion, which is just south of the State Forest, and that trend then goes all the way through for about 20 kilometres into the State Forest, which after a lot of hard work they've just got access to, which is really exciting for them. Where we are is to the northeast of there, and while our tenement package isn't huge, I'd prefer to have a small tenement package of the right rocks than a large tenement package of the wrong rocks. And we've identified a 6 kilometre long platinum palladium anomaly in geochemistry. Followed that up with airborne EM and got airborne EM conductors in the same corridor, and then followed that up with detailed magnetics and now drilling. So really, we've got a 6 kilometre long trend, and the northern area is where we're really focusing at the moment, and that's quite an exciting area. So while it's 6 kilometres is quite substantial, it doesn't take a huge amount of area to actually host one of these types of deposits. So it's a really quite exciting area. Not too many of our peers have managed to have the success of finding an intrusion which has sulphides in there. There's not many of them out there. Devex, Chalice, obviously, Caspian, and Mandrake. But other than that, really, there are very few others who have got intrusions that are mineralised there. So we've got the right rocks. That's the first step. As a geologist, I'll always talk about the rocks, but that's just what I do. That's the first step, and then obviously we need to help focus where we're going from there.
Do you reckon is that your favourite chart? Because you've got 4 projects. Is that your favourite chart, or are they all your favourite?
I've got to be careful saying this because my wife will be listening. I can't have favourite children.
No, your wife will be very happy with that answer. Yep.
No, look, Julimar, the Darling Range project certainly was going to be a binary outcome, if you like. We're either going to drill what the intrusion that we've identified, and it was either going to be nothing or will be an intrusion, and it is an intrusion. So that's a great outcome.
Okay.
Look, which one's my favourite? I think the Darling Range project's very good. I really do like the Calyerup Creek project, which we put some news out on that earlier today.
Yeah, let's talk. Can we talk, because the Julimar project, I get it. There's news coming out here in 2022, but Calyerup Creek is pretty interesting as well, isn't it?
Yeah, look, it is. Calyerup Creek's the project down in the Great Southern of Western Australia, halfway, if you like, between Albany and halfway between Albany and Ravensthorpe. It's an area that was originally, there's been very little work down this part of the world because it's one of these Yilgarn margin projects. It's not in the Yilgarn, it's kind of one of these marginal projects. And it's a really interesting geological area, high-grade metamorphic terrains, which historically haven't been very well explored. And I know I've put half your listeners to bed by saying that and put them to sleep, but it's an area that's been forgotten. And when we went down there, and when I first put the projects together, I thought that project probably won't make it until I started pulling all the data together. And when I started pulling the data together, suddenly it dawned on me, in particular, that it's just been unloved. There's a large geochem anomaly that trends around a granite, and we've done some infill soil sampling and so on. And we're getting soil sample results of up to 2.8 grams per tonne. So to put that into perspective, if you're looking in the Yilgarn, you might be lucky and you'll chase up something that's going to be 50 ppb, not 2,800 ppb.
Yeah.
So it's really quite exciting. Close to fresh rock at surface, and the geochemistry has really done a great job of highlighting the targets. So what we've now got there from the work we did last year is we've got 2 sub-parallel geochemical trends. The northern one has got a number of intersections, not intersections, they're soil samples, but soil sample sites 1.7 and 1.3 grams per tonne in the northern trend. That goes for about 1,400 metres. In the southern trend, up to 2.8 grams per tonne, and that again trends for about 1.4 kilometres. So combined, we've got about 2.8 kilometres of strike length of very, very anomalous gold. There's been some workings in the southern prospect, and that area we've gone in and done some more drilling near those historical workings and historical drilling, and we've got some really good intersections from very, very shallow. Now, today we announced, for example, I think that I'll probably get the exact numbers wrong, but 15 metres at 2.2 grams per tonne, but that was from 1 metre down hole.
Yeah, this is all very shallow. You haven't gone very deep at all in this project yet.
So far, we don't need to. So far, literally, we're just scratching the surface. Another drill hole was 15 metres at 2.08, and that was from 3 metres downhole. So it's just sticking out of the ground and has not been very well explored. So we've only tested so far with the drilling. We've done 8 holes there so far. 7 of them had significant intersections.
Oh,
five
wow.
of those 7, the intersections were over 10 metres wide and over a gram. So really substantial widths and consistency of grade, which suggests that it's actually going to be a real system. It's not just a flash in the pan, if you like.
So what are you, sorry to interrupt you, Mike. So what are you going to be doing in 2022? What's going to get get them going in 2022? Because Calyerup does seem like, as you said, it's underexplored, unloved. So what are the next steps for you? Are you going to throw a bit of money down there for drilling, etc.?
Yeah, look, we are. We've currently got 50 holes planned, 50 RC holes planned. We've drilled 8 of them so far and got the results that I just mentioned. So we've got another 42 to go. That drill rig mobilises on Thursday, and we'll be drilling on Friday this week. So that's...
And for those of you that don't know what date it is, I'll tell you they'll be drilling this Thursday, which is the 19th. 20th of January 2022.
That's right. So we've got a lot of drilling to do down there, and we've already, given the success we've had so far from the soil sampling and how that has been correlating to date with drilling, we've also put in a program of works into the mines department for approval for another 100 holes.
Oh, wow.
Now, we may not drill the extra 100, but we'll at least have them permitted. And so we've got a fair bit of news going down there. And that's exciting, because if you think about mineralisation sticking out of the ground, a lot of people have been saying you've got to go deep. It's under, things in the Yilgarn, they're undercover, it's hard work. And in some parts it is. But there are lots of parts of Western Australia that are massively underexplored, and the mineralisation is still sticking out of the ground.
Right. And that's what you're finding at Calyerup Creek?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Right. So, Mike, let's just go up north, because we'll run out of time otherwise. Let's go up north to your Ashburton and Kimberley projects.
Yeah, look, I'll only mention Ashburton very, very briefly. We've done some auger sampling there over some historical workings and so on. I'm hopeful we'll get those results probably in the next week or so. Again, that's the foundation from last year and feeding into what we're doing this year. So I think that area there, we'll work up to another drill target in that area. There's been some historical workings and drilling, so some narrow but high-grade zones there.
That's also gold up there as well. Is that what
yes.
you're looking for? Because
certainly the Ashburton is gold. Yes, yeah.
Okay, because the reason I ask that is because Kalamazoo, in and around that area, they're finding a little bit of spodumene, I believe, in that area. Are you going to be looking for other metals?
We are looking for other commodities as well, but we're really focusing on, if you like, the big 3. So gold, nickel, copper. Really, they're our main 3 that we're looking for. There are other companies nearby. Dreadnought, for example, has got ground around us in the Ashburton, and they're very active. Dean is very active on his projects there as well. So there's a lot going on in the area.
Yeah.
But that one, we're, again, focusing on gold. Okay. But moving up to the Kimberley, we've got a massive tenement package up in the Kimberley, which stretches basically from Halls Creek to the Northern Territory border.
Goodness me.
Yeah, it's a massive tenement package. But what we're looking for there is copper and silver, in particular at the Copper Flats project that we have. That project combined stretches for around about 190 kilometres from the northeast to the southwest, and it's a really interesting package of ground. And I'll bore you too much if I go into too much detail there.
Why did you get? Sorry to interrupt you, but why did you peg such a large ground holding up there? Yeah,
interesting. You mentioned why did we peg there, and why have we pegged out and acquired our other projects? The main reason is, and this will sound strange, But the major discoveries in the last 20 years for traditional metals, and I'll stress traditional metals, so gold, nickel, copper, so on, have all been found outside the Yilgarn. Now that's kind of a bit of a surprise to a lot of people, but if you break it down and look at where the really wealth-generating discoveries have been made, and you rattle them off, Tropicana is not in the Yilgarn; it's to the east. Gruyere is just inside the Yilgarn, but again hasn't really been hadn't been explored very well. Go further south, and you get to Nova Bollinger. Again, massive wealth creation from that discovery. You then look at Julimar. Again, it's in the Yilgarn, but it's on the margin. On the margin. Again, massive wealth creation. You go further north to where De Grey is and Hemi. Again, a massive exploration success. Again, not in the Yilgarn, on the edges, and that one's in the Pilbara Craton. I can rattle off a couple of others, but yeah, like Winu, for example, or some of the Patterson discoveries, and some people this was a
deliberate strategy of Mamba Exploration.
Absolutely.
To say, let's find projects outside the Yilgarn because that's where massive wealth could be found by big discoveries, not just the little e's. We want to find a company maker.
Yeah, look, and fundamentally, I've spent plenty of time in the Yilgarn and getting another project or a company together and finding 100,000 ounces or 200,000 ounces. This may sound really arrogant, but it actually doesn't excite me. What excites me is really changing the goalposts. And to do that, stepping outside the norms and going to where the underexplored parts of Western Australia in particular, and I know how to work in Western Australia, that's where the opportunity lies. And you look at it, serious resources, fantastic discoveries, massive wealth creation for all their shareholders. Same with Gruyere, same with Tropicana, same with Chalice.
That's what you want to do with Mamba Exploration. That's your big picture. Now we're running out of time, Mike, because I know you and I can chat for a long time. And as we said, massively oversubscribed when you listed. Yeah. You listed at 20 cents, and a year later, you're above the listing price, which is a good feat, especially for an explorer. So people obviously like the projects that you've got. You've got a lot of drilling coming up, but what I want to know is, and everyone knows this is how I end all my interviews, which is 3 reasons. I want you to tell us why right now people need to sit up and take a good look at Mamba Exploration. You've given us a good overview. Yep. Lots of news flow to come, but what are the 3 reasons? Look,
as I just mentioned, Kerry, we're not in the Yilgarn, and I'm deliberately not going to go and start chasing things in the Yilgarn. We're going to be different, and we are different in that we have very specifically chosen our projects to be outside the Yilgarn, in the areas of Western Australia where a lot of the mineralisation is sticking out of the ground, and it's where the substantial wealth creation has been made in the last 20 years. Okay. So that's a big goal. And it is a big call, but you've got to have those lofty goals and work hard to try and achieve them. So that's number 1. Number 2, we are very well funded. As you mentioned, we raised $7 million in February last year. As of the September quarter, we haven't put out our December quarterly yet, but as of September, we had $5.2 million in the bank, so we're very well funded. There is no need for us to raise capital anytime soon, and we're spending very wisely, and we're spending the money as if it's your own. And if you spend the money like it's your own, you're far more careful about how you're spending it. And we spend probably in excess of 80% of what we're spending in the ground. Nice. So it's not flash officers. It's none of that other stuff that some people can do and some people do. We're spending it in the ground. So that's the second point. And really, the third point: why should people be looking at us now? We mentioned a few times already. 2021 was the foundation year, and first year is always hard, and it was a foundation year of getting the boring bits done, if you like.
Yeah.
What we're doing now, and we started late last year, and it's continuing, is we're now actively drilling. We've got lots of drilling happening this year at Calyerup Creek. We'll be diamond drilling in the Darling Range this quarter. We'll be RC drilling by the end of this week down at Calyerup Creek, and we'll be doing a lot of work up in Kimberley and in the Ashburton as well. So this year is the year to start the delivery process, whereas last year was the foundation year. So this year is all about delivery and moving the company forward from here.
Well, that's why we wanted to get you on today, because I heard some murmurs that there was a lot going on with Mamba Exploration, so I wanted to make sure we got you on board and understood for our community what Mamba Exploration were up to. I love M24 being the basketball thing with Kobe Bryant. That's pretty cool as well. Mike, it's been great to chat with you again. It's been a little while. Congratulations on putting the projects together. It's damn hot up there in the Pilbara at the moment. That I do know. It's even hot over here, but it's been great to see you. If you get some news, make sure you pop back on and give us some updates for our community. But in the meantime, thanks for joining me on Small Caps.
No, thanks very much, Kerry, and thanks for everyone for taking the time to listen to my dulcet tones for the interview. So thanks very much.